Hello, welcome to this installment of Yoga Psychology, Yoga Philosophy, Yoga Ponderings, Yoga Musings. Today's topic is surrender. I know, right? That's confusing. I'm all amped up to give it all up. Just sitting in the beautiful chickadee garden. You can see John Muir is across from me, a stylized version of him. We have Charlie Brown. We have some famous poet woman that I don't know. The camera is sitting on Shrek right now. Some guy from the Vikings, some Muslim woman with a star on her shirt, and Scooby-Doo and Shaggy, the original Mystery Crew. That's actually my favorite, by the way. Scooby-Doo. Okay, so surrender. Surrender, I think there's a misconception possibly in the average mind, the average modern mind, maybe that maybe doesn't have a lot of spiritual experience. If you do, maybe you do understand this. But I'd like to help with that if I can, if I may. And that is, it's not like you're bowing down to some dark power and giving them all control and then just getting the short end of the stick or drawing the short straw as if you had no choice. I would think of surrender more as not subservience, and that's what I'm talking about. That's more what that is. It's this old thought, maybe it's in our subconscious mind from ancestors and different, as we go down our genetic line, maybe we have this sort of hereditary memory that spans generations. Maybe not an active memory, but maybe some sort of subconscious thing. Who knows? I bet you, I'm willing to bet something like that exists. So, with that possibility, maybe we dredge up these memories and we have an instant reaction to it of, no, we're done with that. You know, slavery was abolished, servitude, indentured servitude, gone. At least in America. I don't fully understand or know the exact situation in every country, but I bet you some of this still goes on today. And I'm very sad for that. I hope it stops soon. So surrender is totally different. Surrender is a good thing. Surrender is, you are definitely benefited by it, but you do have to give up a little bit of your ego. So that's kind of the trade-off. You know, you are giving up something. When you surrender to God, in the Indian tradition, it would be surrender to the guru, see the guru as God, surrender to God. So the whole time, really, you are surrendering to God, to the Lord. And that physical person is just a conduit for something that's so hard for us to reach and we want to touch. So that gives us an opportunity to be more intimate with an aspect of the eternal Lord. The eternal Lord. Surrender. Yeah. There's a saying in Sanskrit, it's called Sharanam. Sha Ra Nam. Interesting, huh? Sha Ra Nam. Spelled two different ways, one with an S, Sharanam, and the other just with a CH in the front there instead of the SH. Yes. You know, in North and South India and different regions, and where the birth and the home and the living aspect of the Sanskrit language, even though it's considered a dead language, I don't think that's truly accurate. It's still used. It's still used by many, probably millions and millions. Just making sure I wasn't disturbing anyone. Okay, so what does that give you? Isn't that a good question? I don't have any proof. So you're just gonna have to, this is gonna be one of those things that not everything can be proven in that way. If you have a superpower, you should be able to demonstrate it. If you can make fire come from your hand. If you can't do that, then it's all imaginary, right? I believe the humans have amazing capabilities, maybe we just haven't figured them out yet. So until the person does that, it's really not anything except in our own mind. Desires of the heart. Keep trying. I never said stop. I never said it's impossible, but let's always be truthful and real. That's part of what surrender is. It's you're giving up your ego, you're giving up all this. Maybe you harbor different, we all, let's just be real, and you don't have to admit to anything, but we all harbor secrets, lies, all these kind of things. You know, we're not perfect. So you're giving all that, but you're also giving all your good qualities. You're giving all your possessions, your material wealth. Of course, you still get to spend your money and have it, but it's the act of surrendering, of offering. You really start to develop a different kind of humility, and that humility is actually a strength, and it combats the demonic aspect of the ego, which causes us all sorts of problems in our daily life. Whenever we're arrogant, whenever we're spiteful, mean, hateful, non-forgiving, selfish, greedy, attached, worried, frantic, neurotic, possessive. I mean, laundry list. This is what it is to be human. But we're not limited by that. We don't have to do that forever. Nobody told you to do this. Nobody told me to do this. Well, maybe somebody did, maybe parents instilled. So back up on that. The point is that you're just not limited, even if somebody told you. Even if somebody told you. You can always make a decision at any moment. That's what's great about being human. I can change right now something that felt like I couldn't change before. You can have a moment like that. It's possible. The only thing that really gets in the way, it seems, is ourselves. So when we surrender, it's sort of like it's like a big weight is lifted off your shoulder. Imagine carrying around a couple sacks of potatoes. You know, those suckers are heavy. Imagine if you had to walk around with them all the time, and the minute that you set them down, you're free. Your hands are free. So that's sort of metaphorically what it's like for here and for the minds, which is totally important, right? How could we say it's not important? So when you give that up, you get everything. You empty the vessel totally. See if I can get a better view here. So imagine that when you surrender, you give up everything that you thought you were, that you thought you had, gone. Of course, you still have it, but the mental aspect, it feels so free. It feels real because we're thinking it. And then you let, not bad energies, but good energies, positive, divine, you let those completely fill the vessel back up with something totally different. Because what was it filled with before? Murky, nasty water. You replaced it with nectar, with mead, with honey wine, something fantastic and delicious and nutritious. Yes. I surrender. Now, to end the video, I'll go over some different ways to use surrender as a psychological tool to unburden yourself from maybe things you may be worried about in modern times, stuff we're worried about right now, especially with the literal current situation and just general human problems. Right? Oh, I don't know if you can see that. I was touching a bush. Okay, there's a bush over here. How about this? First, Sharanam. Sharanam, Sharanam, Sharanam. I surrender, I surrender, I surrender to Prakriti, to nature, to the mode of nature, to the three gunas, to whatever all encompasses the reality that we see around us, the natural world. Yes. I surrender, Sharanam, to the current political situation. I surrender. I have no control over this. There may be some things I can do and I'll do them, but in here, I surrender. Sharanam, I surrender to the difficulties that humans have. racism, gender inequality, employment disparity, financial disparity, inequality, bullying, hatred, violence, fear, disease, famine, plague, drought, flood, earth changes. I surrender. I'm not in charge of any of that stuff. Not at all. Unless I had a position somewhere that I was in charge of it. Unless we are that someone, then we are not in charge of it. Sharanam, I surrender. Doesn't mean there aren't things you can do, but in here, I surrender. Okay? What's one more that we can pick to surrender to? Of course. I think I already did that one, but I'll do it again, and then maybe one more. Sharanam, I surrender to the Guru principle and to the highest Lord. I surrender. I surrender. I surrender. Sharanam, Sharanam, Sharanam. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om, Hari Om, Hari Om. You can also pick individual things like I surrender to the bluebird, I surrender to the bench, I surrender to the tree, I surrender to the seed, I surrender to the leaf, I surrender to the blade of grass, I surrender to the ray of the sun. Sharanam, 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 Sharanam. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. I surrender to everything. My whole life. I'll do what I need to do. But please take the burden off me. The burden of worrying every single day about every little thing. May I just do what I'm going to do. And what I don't do, let me not be troubled about this. Let me have some sleep, some rest. Let me enjoy my day and my night. Let me live in a little bit of laughter and peace, spiritual path progression, and all the good pleasures that we want in life that aren't horrible and aren't harming of others. Please, let me have these, but inside in here, let me not be attached or worried. Let me surrender. So this is really the key of what this means, and I hope that was helpful to help you just get into, it's more than a mindset. It's it's an emotional, mental combo where you're just not worried, but you still do what needs to be done. There's a balance. It's never about flying off into some mystical land and never coming back. It's about being there and being light of heart while being here on the ground. Head in the clouds, feet on the ground, and I go round and round. Namaste.